Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMN TV newscast for Monday, April 15th, 2019. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I'm Braden Holacek. Shortly we will take a look at what's going on around the globe. Then Lexi Gross will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. A historic day at Fort Hays State University. The Department of Arts and Music and the Athletics Department received its most generous donation ever. FHSU graduates Earl and Noni Field designated the FHSU Foundation as beneficiaries. After Noni passed away in 2009 and Earl in 2013, their estate gift to Fort Hays was estimated to be worth $20 million. This would make it the largest donation in school history. The grant will be endowed and will partially be used to finance scholarships. A conference was held in the Memorial Union and had almost 200 people in attendance. Speakers included FHSU President Ametrius Edward H. Hammond, who told the story of the Fields' love for each other and for the college they attended. Fort Hays State University's President Tisa Mason closed the conference by touching on the Fields' monumental act of generosity and how it will benefit the students on campus.
The Fields' legacy and story will grow exponentially as students in need, students who may not have otherwise been able to attend college, go on to earn their degree, go out in the world, and contribute very meaningfully to their communities.
Fields' legacy will grow exponentially as students in need, students who may not have otherwise been able to attend college, go on to earn their degree, go out in the world and contribute very meaningfully to their communities. Thanks to the Fields' generosity, it will leave an impact on the current and future students here at Fort Hays. Turning to Hoisington, a local man has pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. Chaz Stevens pleaded guilty to the charge in the Barton County District Court, where the judge accepted the plea. He was charged with the crime in connection with the March 2018 death of his girlfriend's 2-year-old daughter. The body of Iviana Lewis was found last year northwest of Hoisington. The child was last seen 4 days earlier at her home in Hoisington, but was not reported missing until Tuesday afternoon. A sentencing for Stevens is scheduled for early June. In Sherman County, 3 people were injured in an accident on I-70. A 2015 Chevy Silverado driven by Nicole Weber was eastbound on Sunday near Goodland when it rear-ended a 2010 Dodge 350 driven by Jeremy Ty Severe. Severe's vehicle continued to travel entering the south ditch until it came to rest. Weber's vehicle continued eastbound, crossing the median into the westbound lanes, and came to rest in the north ditch. Weber, Severe, and a passenger in the Chevy David Michael Bragg were transported to the hospital in Goodland. According to the Kansas Highway Patrol, Bragg and Severe failed to wear seatbelts. Turning back to campus, congratulations to our outstanding undergraduate scholars. 4 students were recently recognized as this year's scholars. The FHSU Undergraduate Research Experience Steering Committee selected the students from their exemplary scholarly activity. The school recognized the awardees Jacob Lutgen, Haley Jones, Kylie Heine, and Julie Burr last week during National Undergraduate Research Week. Volunteering swept through the community of Hays this weekend. FHSU students and faculty participated in the big event on Saturday, an annual day of service across the nation that is hosted by students at colleges and universities. This day of service was in partnership with the Student Government Association, the Fort Hays State University Alumni Association, and the FHSU Foundation. This marked Fort Hays' 9th annual year for participating in the big event. About 160 faculty and staff volunteered this last Saturday at a couple dozen locations. 34 virtual students also agreed to help out on the day. Projects for the day included trail cleanup at Sternberg Museum, painting at the Ellis County Fair, landscaping at Bethesda Place, and so much more. The big event is served as a way to thank those who support the FHSU family all year long. Fort Hays is taking innovative steps to help high school students explore their options by hosting campus visits. Tiger Mania is a visitation day designed exclusively for sophomores and juniors to explore Fort Hays. Similar events are also sponsored for juniors and seniors, and it started adding sophomores a few years ago. This year's Tiger Mania broke the all-time attendance record with 249 students and about 200 guests. Students from all across the state, as well as some from Colorado and Nebraska, attended. Members of the admissions office were there to point out the advantages of attending Fort Hays State. The audience was also able to ask a panel of FHSU students questions about the campus or student life. Scholarships of $1,000 were awarded throughout the morning of the event, and every student got a tour of the campus, including a residence hall. For more information on a campus tour, you can visit the admissions page at fhsu.edu. The 53rd annual Fort Hays Rodeo is back this coming weekend, but with a few changes. Due to the rodeo being held on the same weekend as Easter, the event will be shortened from 3 days to 2. All of the traditional events will still be held, including the crown of the Fort Hays State Rodeo Queen during Friday night's performance. Nearly 500 competitors from 22 schools in the Central Plain region will participate throughout the weekend. Public performances begin at 7 p.m. both Friday and Saturday. Tickets are available at the Student Service Center in the FHSU Memorial Union, as well as Orchland Farm and Home and Vanderbilt's here in Hays. 2018 results show that Kansas is making the most of its wind energy, according to the American Wind Energy Association's 2018 annual market report. Kansas is now the #1 producer for wind energy production. The state surpassed Iowa to claim the top spot with 36.4% of the state's total electricity produced by wind power in 2018. Kansas is home to a major wind turbine nacelle production plant in Hutchinson, with only 2 others currently operating in the U.S. Several national companies purchased Kansas wind energy, including Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, and many more. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly wanted to raise awareness of clean energy in the state by highlighting the annual report. She is pleased to see the state moving in the right direction with its wind energy production and states how we must continue to prioritize the renewable energy. When we return from the short break, stay tuned for news from around the globe.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I guess I have really been looking for love in this dating app. Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
What?
Welcome back, Tigers. I'm Braden Holochek, and here's what's going on around the globe. Folks across the nation are mourning a well-known rapper, activist, and entrepreneur, and Thursday, thousands lined the streets of Los Angeles for a final farewell. The LA Times says Nipsey Hussle's funeral procession went more than 25 miles from downtown LA to Watts and then to Inglewood. Earlier that morning, almost 21,000 people danced to his music at his memorial in the Staples Center. The 33-year-old was shot a few Sundays ago at the end of March when he was outside his LA clothing store, Marathon Clothing. Fans have left countless items at this store at the corner of Crenshaw and Slauson in Los Angeles. Secretary of Homeland Security Christian Nielsen has stepped down from her role. President Donald Trump announced the departure in a tweet. In the tweet, he thanked Nielsen for her services. The new Homeland Security Secretary will be Kevin McAleenan. McAleenan will move on from being the head of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency. Her departure comes off the heels of President Trump saying he wanted to go in a tougher direction with border security. With Nielsen's departure, that leaves 3 women on President Trump's 21-person cabinet. The 3 women included are Betsy DeVos of the Education Department, Elaine Chao of the Transportation Department, and Gina Haspel as head of CIA. The United States has pulled troops from Libya amid a recent surge in violence, increased unrest, have temporarily relocated American forces. The U.S. has provided military support for diplomatic missions, counterterrorism activities, and have also improved regional security. A spokesman for the Africa Command has mentioned the movement of troops will not impact the force's ability to respond to threats and targets. After years of chaotic fighting, the war-torn country has reached a new high point in violence, pushing to take control. The spokesman has also stated the fate of all Libyan citizens and the safety of workers remains a concern. Mick Mulvaney, the chief of staff, has come out to say Democrats will never see the president's tax returns. Democrats have responded by saying the president has a lack of transparency over foreign policy. Trump has cited audits as the reason he has refused to make his returns public. Trump has said his hands are tied and he's not willing to abide by ethical norms. Trump's lawyer stated this week the IRS took a politically motivated attempt to see the president's returns. A crowd of protesters gathered this past week in Calixto. These protesters got together to show their anger towards President Trump's threat to close the border. The protesters believe they are united and do not feel like they can be separated. What resulted after this protest was President Trump resigning his threat to shut down the border. Instead, Trump has vowed to give Mexico another year to solve the Central American refugee problem and the end flow of illegal drugs. Calixtans believe those are not major issues. The president of Mexico has decided to defer any threats of President Trump's border shutdown. Most of the time, the Mexican president is seen as outspoken. Instead, all he has had to say about a border threat is he prefers peace and love. This is evident in his previous decisions to not consistently engage in a war of words with Trump. Since taking over office, the Mexican president has angered U.S. officials by giving Central American immigrants visas. Many of these immigrants are heading or have come to the U.S. The United States has designated Iran's elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a foreign terrorist organization. According to CBS News, effective immediately, it is illegal for any organization to provide material support for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. President Trump's administration has accused the group of perpetrating terrorism. This is the first time the U.S. has recognized another government as a terrorist organization. According to the White House, the U.S. is expanding on a pressure campaign against the Iranian regime. The Los Angeles Police Department is looking to scrap crime data programs amid recent criticism. This program that may be scrapped is used to identify individuals who are most likely to commit crimes. An inspector overseeing the LAPD found the department system lacks oversight. Others' findings saw the officers had been using inconsistent criteria to label people as offenders. The overall effectiveness of the system has not been found. After these findings, it has been determined that this system shows a large police problem. None of it is seen as standard, and a lot of the system is one-sided. Attorney General Xavier Becerra is seeking an injunction against President Trump, challenging his national emergency declaration that seeks funding to expand the barrier. Becerra is challenging President Trump because he believes the injunction is necessary to block improper diversion of federal funds to construct a wall. Becerra stated that President Trump is not above the law and we will continue to hold him accountable. California officials have also held their ground to stand united against President Trump's plans. President Trump visited the city of Calixto to meet about efforts of increasing border security. So far in 2019, tax refunds are down by $6 billion from this time last year, according to IRS figures. While the average refund amount is not too less than last year's figure, the IRS says around 1.6 million fewer people are getting refunds this year. The shrinking amount of money has now shown up in lower retail sales. Many families use their IRS refund as the one large single check they receive all year. These families then generally go out and spend a splurge of money by purchasing larger appliances, making credit card payments, or paying for travel. Today, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is warning the public not to use medical devices marketed to consumers that claim to help assess, diagnose, or manage head injury, including concussions, traumatic brain injuries. In a new safety communication, the FDA warned that such tools, such as apps on a smartphone marketed to coaches or parents for use during sporting events, have not been reviewed by the FDA for safety and efficacy and could result in an incorrect diagnosis, potentially leading to a person with a serious head injury returning to their normal activities instead of getting medical care. To date, there are a limited number of medical devices that have been cleared or approved by the FDA to aid in the diagnosis, treatment, or management of concussion, and all of them require an evaluation by a healthcare professional. The FDA's recommendations for consumers, parents, and caregivers and athletic coaches note that individuals should seek treatment right away from a healthcare professional if any head injury, including concussion, is suspected. The FDA will continue to monitor promotional materials and claims about uses of these and similar products and contact companies when we see violative practices. If the agency's concerns are not addressed, the FDA will consider what additional actions, including potential enforcement actions, are appropriate. The FDA will continue to monitor complaints and adverse event reports from patients, caregivers, healthcare providers, and industry. A superbug or superfungus has an ability to spread rapidly in the United States, specifically in the Midwest. A report shows over 600 cases have been reported of this superfungus. Dozens of deaths have also been reported. Although it's not widely spread right now, the problem is it doesn't respond to common antifungal drugs, making it hard to treat. Dr. Dana Hawkinson of the University of Kansas Health System says doctors are not clear whether this superfungus is coming from. The best prevention is good hand-washing practices, but Dr. Hawkinson says there's really not much you can do to protect yourself. Even if you come in contact with the superfungus, it doesn't mean you're going to contact it. That's what's happening in the news world this week. Stay tuned for a sports update with Lexi Gross when we return.
The Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you!
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome to TMN TV Sports. I'm Lexi Gross bringing you a sports update. The Fort Hays State baseball team lost all 3 of their games to Washburn over the weekend, dropping their record to 3-31 and 2-22 in MIAA play. Throughout the series, Tiger pitching struggled to find success on the mound, allowing 41 hits and 36 runs throughout the contest. All pitchers in the roster found time in each game alongside utility player Cody Starkle, who had his first appearance on the mound this year. The first contest was a close game, falling only 6-7 with 10 hits and 1 error. Following Game 1, the Tigers struggled to produce runs, losing by scores of 8-16 and 2-13. The Tigers' next contest will be Thursday, April 18th at 7 p.m. at Central, Oklahoma. The softball team managed to pick up a win against Washburn on Saturday after falling both games to Emporia the day prior. TMN's own and Tiger pitcher Haley Chapman and Michael Ann Nelson had a strong day against the Hornets. Allowing only 2 earned runs of the 5 runs total, the Bats were silenced by Emporia's pitching in Game 1, allowing only 1 hit. The second game seemed to shift gears as the Tigers scored early and held a 2-1 lead through 6.5 innings. However, a walk-off home run and a pair of doubles ended the game with the Hornets on top. Against Washburn, the Bats struggled again, with only 2 hits allowed, both being home runs. This was not enough, however, as the top hitting team of the Ichabods applied pressure in the 5th with a pair of doubles and a grand slam to end the game. In the next game, however, the Tigers rallied and never gave up their lead throughout all 7 innings. Only in the bottom of the 7th did the Ichabods threaten the Tigers' lead by loading the bases with 2 outs and putting the #1 home run hitter in the conference up to bat. After a stellar game, Coach pulled Nelson, who went the distance through 6.5 and used Chapman for the final strikeout. The Tigers return to play this Wednesday against Newman University with the first pitch at 4. The women's tennis team finished up their season this weekend, falling to Missouri Western with a score of 2-5. Natalie Lubbers and Macy Moyers picked up 2 wins in the singles division. Lubbers topped her competition 6-1 and 6-0, while Moyers won with 3-6, 6-1, and 10-8 decision. The Griffins bounced back in doubles play to secure their win as they claimed 2 of 3 matches. Moyers continued a dominant day of the court, helping partner Ellie Ediger secure a 6-2 win. The team completed their season with a 3-10 record and a 0-8 record in conference play. The FHSU men's track and field team competed in the Loper Invitational in Nebraska over the weekend with numerous top 10 placers. In the 5,000 meters, Reed Rome placed first and paved the way for the rest of the Tigers. Teammate Caleb Crum finished close behind, placing third, while Eric Chaparro placed fifth and Christopher Niemczek took sixth. 6 more Tigers completed the meet with top 10 finishes in track. Within field events, Lucas Broxterman continues to impress with a 5th place high jump and a 4th place long jump finish. Mark Faber placed 6th in the pole vault. Gilbert Peters placed 9th in the shot put, along with 3 other Tigers earning high placement in field events. Moving to women's competition, 3 Tigers secured wins, with Alexia Dutzer in the javelin, Summer Craigle in the high jump, and Abby Stewart in the 10,000 meters. Bree Highsaw earned 2 top 10 performances, placing 9th in the 100 meters and 4th in the 200 meters. 6 more Tigers placed top 10 to round out track events. In field events, Robin Rutsima placed 3rd in the high jump and Haley Jones placed 6th. Kayla Smith placed in 9th in the long jump and 4th in the triple jump, while Logan Batchman placed 6th in the shot put. The Tigers return to action Wednesday, April 17th to compete in the Brian Clay Invite in California. The men's golf team competed in the Southwest Baptist Invitational Monday and Tuesday afternoon, coming off a runner-up finish at the Bethel College Spring Invitational. Results were not available at the time of recording, but stay tuned for next week's newscast for a follow-up. Freshman Pete Carney led the Tigers with a 5th place finish overall, shooting rounds of 68 and 77. Both Tiger seniors, Mac McNish and Connor Schultz, also secured top 10 finishes, pushing the Tigers only 4 strokes away from winning it all. The women's golf team prepares for the MIAA Championship on Monday, April 22nd in Mayetta, Kansas. The Tigers are coming off of a 13th place finish in the Central Region Spring Preview. Senior Hannah Perkins led the Tigers with a 29th place finish, shooting rounds of 81 and 78. Taylor D. Bower tied for 38th with rounds of 84 and 77, while Kira Mezel shot rounds of 83 and 84 to tie for 62nd place. Hayes High Baseball secured 2 big wins over Dodge City on Friday to remain undefeated on the season. Game 1 was won by a score of 8-7 with a huge comeback in the bottom of the 7th. Entering the last inning, the score was 7-3 with Dodge City in the lead. However, the Indians' offense erupted and scored 5 runs to end the game. In Game 2, the offense remained dominant as Hayes ended the game early in the 5th with a run rule score of 17-3. The Indians' next game will be at home against Liberal on Friday, April 26th. The Lady Indians softball team remains at 3-3 on the season after their last split with Dodge City at home. Strong pitching and defense allowed the Indians to bounce back from a game in 1 loss and come out on top with a score of 7-6. The team gears up for their next game on Friday, April 19th at home against Great Bend. The Royals showed a dominant weekend in their series against the Cleveland Indians, taking all 3 games by scores of 8-1, 3-0, and 9-8. In Game 1, offense ignited early, putting up 6 runs in the first inning. 2 more runs were tacked on in the 4th and 6th innings to secure the Royals' lead. Alex Gordon's first inning home run would later on be dedicated to a friend suffering from cancer and going into surgery that day. Kansas City pitcher Brad Keller went the distance on the mound, throwing 6.2 innings, allowing only 3 hits, 1 run, 5 walks, and 10 strikeouts. The Royals continue to show their dominance on both the mound and on the plate throughout the series. The team looks for The team looks for another series win as they face the White Sox on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Stay tuned for results in the series in the next week's newscast. Shocking the nation after many stated he would never return to his former glory, Tiger Woods came out victorious as the 2019 Masters Cup champion. This year's victory made him a 5-time winner, only one behind the all-time leader Jack Nicklaus. Woods' last Masters win was in 2005, and since then he has faced major scrutiny from critics. With his 18th hole putt, he finished 13 under par and silenced all those who doubted him. Woods is now the second oldest champion in Masters history at 43 years old. Behind him there was a 3-way tie for second with Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, and Xander Schauffele. Tune in next week for another episode of TMN TV News. To stay up to date with the latest news, visit TigerMediaNet.com. Until then, roar Tigers!